They're down in 6. Williams, a lot of room, looking for the end zone. He is in. Touchdown.
Caleb Williams should go to the NFC Championship game. That's success.
Yeah.
Anything less to me is unsuccessful.
Every talking head in the country is hyping Caleb Williams for year 3. They see the arm talent, they see the roster, they see Ben Johnson in year 2 and figure he has a shot at MVP. But Vegas and the rest of the league are still underselling this franchise because this isn't just a playoff team with a talented quarterback. Chicago built Caleb one of the league's best offensive lines, loaded him with weapons, and gave Johnson another full offseason to start opening up the playbook. And we're going to tell you where that puts the ceiling for this team, but first we're going to get into why the league is so split on the Bears. Caleb Williams is the most dangerous dark horse in the 2026 MVP race. If you watch the 2025 NFC wildcard game against the Packers, you know why. On the other hand, if he wants to lose to the Rams a week later, you know he has to take the next step to get there. And we're betting he does. Williams has entered year 2 with Ben Johnson. He's playing behind one of the best offensive lines in football, and he's thrown to a talented young core that's going to be damn near impossible for most defenses to stop for 60 minutes. So is Caleb just another summer hype machine, or did Chicago finally give the ice-water quarterback the machine he needs to crash the MVP race? Let's start with the evidence for why Caleb could be the guy in 2026. Exhibit A is last year's playoff miracle against the Packers. Wildcard weekend, Soldier Field, Chicago's down 21-6 going into the fourth quarter, and the entire season is leaning over the railing. Williams had already thrown 2 picks, so this wasn't some spotless hero moment where everyone pretends the flaws disappeared. The flaws are right there on the field, but so is the thing you can't fake. The Bears needed their Iceman to drag them out of the hole, and Williams didn't blink. 361 yards, 2 touchdowns, and the go-ahead score to DJ Moore in the 31-27 win with Green Bay.
Double move, throw down left sideline. DJ Moore inside the 5. End zone. Touchdown.
That was the Dave's 2025 season in one game. Messy, dangerous, and absolute money when it mattered. And the game wasn't a fluke either. See Will finish the year with 6 fourth-quarter comebacks and 6 game-winning drives. That's the part of the MVP argument people keep skipping. He already has the late-game gene. The question is whether he can clean up enough with the chaos around it. Because next week against the Rams, he almost did it again, forcing overtime with a 4th down touchdown to Cole Kmet before the season ended on the kind of mistake that remind he's not quite a finished product yet. That's the 2026 story. Caleb Williams proved he has the intangibles it takes to give it the conversation, and we're about to find out if the Bears gave him the weapons to finish the job. So hit that like and subscribe while the cheerleaders do their thing and we fire up the Chicago hype train.
The game's not over until, the clock hits 0. We're a full 60-minute team.
Williams slings it. Williams. Loveland bangs off his man. He's going to score. Home.
If Caleb Williams makes the leap we're expecting this year, things at Big Windy get really interesting. Because last year the Bears weren't asking Williams to be pretty. They were asking him to survive, create, erase mistakes, extend games, and pull Chicago out of places most young quarterbacks don't escape. In 2026, the assignment changes. Now he gets year 2 with Ben Johnson, and that matters because this offense should finally look less like Callum freelancing through traffic and more like a real machine built around his best traits. That starts up front. The Bears will walk him in the season with one of the best projected offensive lines in football, and for a quarterback like Caleb Williams, that's gasoline. Give him time and he can hunt. Give him structure and he can stop treating every snap like a jailbreak. That's the part people miss when they talk about his flaws. Yeah, the completion percentage has to come up. Nobody's handing out MVP trophies for 58% passing. That fix doesn't mean he has to turn into a different quarterback. It requires the Bears to give him cleaner answers, easier throws, and fewer snaps for the whole plate turns into a backyard football by the second read. As for Ben Johnson and the young weapons come in. Rome Odunze is back. Luther Burton III is stepping into a bigger role. Colson Loveland already looks like the safety valve every young quarterback needs. And DeAndre Swift and Cotton Ongai give him backs who can turn checkdowns into actual damage. So this MVP case isn't built on blind faith. It's built on a simple projection. If Caleb already flashed the late game gene inside a messy version of the offense, what happens when the offense finally starts stopping him? This is where the Bears' 2026 offense gets dangerous, because Caleb isn't walking into the season hoping one guy saves him. He's walking in with a young core that finally makes sense around him. Rome Odunze is a headline because he's the biggest mystery and maybe the biggest swing factor in the whole MVP case.
Picked up. Oh, Williams has a man wide open. He's got it. Touchdown, Odunze.
Before the foot injury wrecked the back end of his sophomore season, the Candle-to-Rome connection looked like it was becoming the thing Chicago drafted it to be. Odunze scored 5 touchdowns in his first 4 games, looked like the early alpha in the passing game, then missed the final 5 regular season games with stress fracture that turned the season into a what-if. Now DJ Moore is in Buffalo, and Odunze enters camp as a projected number 1. That sounds great until you remember the foot. In June, Odunze admitted the injury created a new normal, as the internal bone callus has changed how his foot feels. That's not some tiny all-season note. That's the difference between assuming a breakout but wondering if the same explosiveness is still there. But the updates have been encouraging. The sprint work is there, the training clips are there, and by all accounts, Odunze has been rebuilding the mechanics around the foot instead of pretending nothing changed. That matters because if Rome is still Rome, this offense changes fast. Then you add Lutherberg III as the stressor and that guy who could turn a normal throw into a safety meeting nobody wants to attend. And the good news is, LB3 doesn't have to be the number 1 right away. He just has to make defenses pay for leaning too hard toward Odunze or Loveland, and Loveland might be the cleanest answer of all. He already became Caleb's safety valve, and that kind of middle field trust is exactly how you lift the easy completion total about turning the offense into a checkdown festival. That's why the private workout matters. This summer, Caleb Williams got Odunze, Burden, and Loveland together with rookies Xavier Thomas and Sam Roush for multiple throwing sessions in LA at his alma mater before camps even opened. And trust us, this wasn't some cute leadership publicity stunt. It's a quarterback taking control of his own destiny. And the scariest part? Those 6 guys combined have less than a decade of NFL experience. If this core group starts firing on all cylinders, the Bears' offense is going to be a problem for a long time. The other reason this MVP case feels different is Ben Johnson, because for the first 2 years of Caleb's career, a lot of the conversation was built around what he could create when the structure broke down. That made the highlights fun, but it also made every Sunday feel like the Bears were asking their quarterback to solve a complex math problem while the classroom was on fire. That's not supposed to be the job anymore. This year, Chicago has the coach, the line, and the weapons to make the offense feel intentional from the first snap instead of improvised by the third, and that starts up front. If the offensive line projections are even close, the Bears are walking into 2026 with one of the best units in football. That changes everything for a guy like Caleb, because his biggest plays don't come from standing there like a statue when reading flashcards. He needs time to stretch the field, he needs lanes to move, he needs the defense to hesitate for a half beat, because a half beat is all it takes for him to turn a broken ankle into a 40-yard gotcha. That's where Johnson's genius comes into play. He can give Caleb cleaner answers below without neutering what makes him special. Swift and Manung are out of the backfield, can steal cheap yards, Loveland can work the middle, and Burden can punish space while Odunze forces defenses to respect the outside. That's a much healthier ecosystem than Caleb pulling a friggin' rabbit out of a hat on every third down. That's how the Bears turn the chaos in the offense, and that's how a dark horse MVP case starts turning into a real problem for the rest of the NFC. So what does Caleb Williams actually need to do to turn the buzz into a reality? This is where the conversation can get stupid fast. Nobody's saying he has to leave the league in every passing category. It's not the only way this works anymore. Josh Allen went it without leaving the league in passing yards. Lamar Jackson's won it twice by making the whole offense feel like it bends around them. Voters still care about numbers, obviously, but they care just as much about win totals, epic moments, and the feeling that one cat is dragging the entire Sunday conversation behind him. Williams has all that, and he has the Chicago spotlight, which can be a curse when things go sideways, and a rocket launcher when the team is winning. Now he needs the clean version. That means the Bears have to win the North or at least live near the top of the NFC all year. It means Caleb has to keep the interceptions low, push the completion rate into respectable territory, and turn some of those wild fourth quarter rescues of the game Chicago controls before everyone's blood pressure hits Ditka levels.
He makes so many big throws. Like, if he can increase his efficiency, because, you know, you'll watch the game and all of a sudden you'll see him miss a throw by like 10 yards. And you're like, how does that happen? And then he comes back and drops a perfect throw into tight coverage on the next one.
The kid threw for 3,942 yards and 27 touchdowns last year. That's already close enough for the league to feel real. If that becomes 4,200 yards, 30-plus touchdowns, low turnovers, double-digit wins, and 3 or 4 national TV moments where the Bears to fight to belong in deep end, now we have a race. That's the difference between a fun off-season bet and a serious MVP case.
I have high expectations. One, because I think Ben Johnson's the man. I think Dennis Allen's the man on the defensive side of the ball. And I wouldn't be shocked if Caleb Williams won the MVP this year.
The tools are there, the coach is there, the line is there, the weapons are young, but they're dangerous, and Caleb Williams has the one part nobody can install in August. When the game turns sideways, he gets flat out nasty. That's why the dark horse label fits. He's not the safest pick. He's the one sitting there with the clearest path to make everybody feel dumb for waiting so long to believe it. So no, Caleb Williams isn't the obvious MVP pick. That's why this is fun. If you buy the hype, Patrick Mahomes is already being handed the MVP, the Comeback Player of the Year, and another Super Bowl ring. Caleb is the one sitting in Chicago with the weird resume, the late game gene, the man genius calling plays, and the young offense that might be ready to grow up all at once. Maybe it works, maybe it blows up by Halloween, and Bears fans start stress-feeding Italian beef for the parking lot again. Either way, this is exactly the kind of MVP bet that makes season interesting. So drop it in the comments. Is Caleb Williams a legit contender, or are we all getting a little too high on summer football? Hit subscribe, keep it locked in on Snap Camp. Don't go anywhere, because training camp is about to separate the sleepers from the stupid ideas. We'll see you in the next one.